The United States is facing an increasing problem. And I don't know how the United States gets past this. It's becoming clearer and clearer that we don't have a solution. And without a solution, this problem is just going to intensify. And as this problem intensifies, it's going to bring in more and more people and cause additional chaos. Now, I'm going to address what's going on here. We are now seeing record numbers that we have never seen before, and this is causing a huge concern for the American people. I addressed this the other day, talked about how the American people are about to pay for something that they have no control over, and that's concerning. So, make sure you stick around for this entire video. All I ask is one thing, takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates, and now let's begin. So this is where everything starts. President Biden's border problems are getting bigger and bigger. This is concerning. And the reason why experts are telling us that President Biden's border problem is getting bigger and bigger is simple. We are leading into a presidential election year. Not only that, if President Biden sides with Republicans and he implements a stricter border policy, it's a win for Republicans. If he sides with Democrats and doesn't do anything for border security and sends additional funding overseas, well, this could be the end of President Biden as far as president. What we continue to hear is that as of right now, President Biden has to make a decision. Does he decide to side with Republicans and strengthen our border security to stop allowing hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants into the United States every single month? Or does he side with Democrats, allow more people into the United States, but then try to fund these cities and these sanctuary cities with additional federal funding? Well, that is seen as very unlikely. Now, here's what I can tell you, and this is where things are starting to get very interesting. Migrant crossings at the U.S. southern border reached a record monthly high in December. So if you are excited about beating records, this is something to be excited about. Now, if you are concerned that people coming into the United States may take your benefits, well, that is also something that you, probably shouldn't get excited about. Because right now, what we are hearing is that people that are coming into the United States, they're not going to be receiving Social Security benefits. Right? So you're okay there. Are they going to be receiving SNAP benefits? No. Right? But here's where we are now being told your benefits are on the line. Your livelihood is on the line. Because what we continue to hear is that in order for the United States to fund some of these different programs, well, they need the funding for one. But Republicans are saying we are not going to continue to fund all these different Democratic agendas when the one thing that Republicans are asking for is stricter border policies. Now, President Biden and the Biden administration, they have thought they figured it out. They thought I know what to do. Let's just take the responsibility off of us and let's just push it over to Mexico. Well, that's what they're trying to do because the White House wants Mexico to make it harder for migrants to reach the U.S. border. What the White House is suggesting is make it more difficult on the Mexican southern border for people to enter into Mexico. Make it harder for people to travel by foot or by bus up north. Make it more difficult. Don't make it so inviting. Don't allow buses to bring migrants from the southern Mexico border all the way up to the northern border. Don't do it. But Mexico is saying that, well, if we don't do that, we need some compensation. This is where the United States steps in. This is where the United States is being asked to send additional funding to Mexico. Send funding to Cuba so Cubans don't think they need to come to the United States or come to Mexico. Send money to Venezuela. And I talked about this the other day. How can we send money to a country that we currently have sanctions on? Does it make sense? Well, some say no. Now, I want to read you this. It says, as U.S. border crisis worsens, Biden's broken his migrant record again. Now, I want to read you some of these numbers because this is absolutely insane. Currently, okay, here we go. December saw the highest ever monthly total of migrant encounters at the southern border with 276,000. That grim number breaks September's record of 269,735. Since October 1st, the country's let in 760,000 illegal immigrants. Now, I just want to be very clear on something. You're going to see numbers. If you look at any reports today, tomorrow, whenever, you're going to see reports of numbers between 225,000 and 276,000. There's a reason for that. 225,000 people were illegal immigrants. 50,000 people were illegal. Okay? So when you see numbers like this, that migrant encounters at the southern border were 276, they're taking illegal and legal migrants, putting them together. All right? 225,000 illegal immigrants. But it goes on to say, don't forget, fiscal 2023 saw a total of more than 3.2 million encounters nationwide. Insanely, that's closing in on a number of registered U.S. births from the prior year, which was 3.6 million births, basically unchanged since 2021. Now, let's read this really quick. When you factor in gotaways, these are migrants seen but not stopped, and those never spotted at all, we could be looking at more illegal immigrants than births here in the United States. Think about that for a second. There's more illegal immigrants coming into the United States every single year than births here in the U.S. That's potentially troubling. Now, where do we go from here? Well, there is something that we are actually looking into. And this is, how can the United States figure out and solve this migrant crisis, this border security issue? Well, according to reports, the Senate is going to come back next week. They're hopefully going to start working on some type of deal to strengthen our U.S. border, but at the same time send funding to Ukraine, at the same time send additional funding to Israel, and all of this has to be a bipartisan bill. That's going to be difficult. So according to recent reports out just the past couple of days, the only way forward is actually for President Biden to take executive action. This is exactly what Speaker Mike Johnson called for about a week ago. It says House Speaker Mike Johnson calls on Biden to take executive action on the border. It says the Republican Speaker's letter comes as Congress left for the year without an agreement to address the border crisis, and CBP saw record migrant apprehensions. This is going to be difficult. Trying to reach an agreement with Republicans and Democrats is going to be almost impossible. So reports are indicating the only way forward, the only way to solve this crisis is for President Biden to take executive action. Here's the problem. He can't take executive action because what he's done over the past 3 years is in the complete opposite direction of what executive action is going to do. So what that would mean is his first 3 years were a failure. And that's something that Democrats say, and campaign experts are telling us that President Biden can't do. He cannot admit that the first 3 years of his presidency were a failure. And then he's going to go and undo everything that he just did through an executive action. It's something he can't do because that would cause a huge problem for him as the president, trying to campaign for his second term, and any Democrat running for re-election or election as a lawmaker. So right now, the expectation is everything is going to stay the exact same. There will be discussions. They will go back and forth, But as far as a bill actually passing, it may never happen. So that's where we're at this time. We're breaking records. We're seeing bills not turn into legislation. And yeah, we move forward. So again, all I ask is if you enjoy these daily updates, do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like button. But that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.